flagettes. They had the Bahamian flag, or the flag with the Bahamian colors, and we just had everything just came together as one through that canopy area. It was really nice.
What's going on, Luca?
Okay, we are out here at the historical slave village. It's a nice canopy shaded area, and we're gonna have the band march through and have the glistening sun. As you can see, the rays are penetrating through the trees, and we're gonna get a nice glow. Cool effect. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm commonly everyone's favorite on any production because, you know, I'm such great comedic relief. I think it's largely in part to I really don't take nothing serious. And I think that's a part of my problem too. But, you know, it always just works out because it was a long day. It was a hot day. It was a tiresome day. It was an exhausting day. So it's always important to, you know, keep your team members enthused and happy and not thinking about how tired they are, how hot they are, how hungry they are, you know? Because if people start thinking about all of those negative things, then we're not gonna get everybody's best work. So it's always important to keep everybody energized and happy, and, you know?
I've always talked about Clifton being an intersection of two of our major parts of our history. Lucayans lived out here, and then unfortunately, slave trade happened out here as well. It's a part of a plantation. The fact that we're able to highlight our historic and heritage here, I think is important, especially with the national anthem representing the birth of our nation. As an independent nation, I think it's important to mesh all three of those things together.
In putting the concept together for what the anthem would be, and knowing urban renewal as the urban renewal revolutionized band as I know them, I knew that there would be elements of the performance that would include dance, and that for some people that may not have gone over well. It's the national anthem, right? You're supposed to stand at attention, but it's still a song. And it's an interpretation of the beauty and the majesty of an anthem that we would have three groups of young people in one band doing their own reverence to this anthem. So the musicians played beautifully, the flagettes twirled their flags beautifully, and the dancers did their dance beautifully. Nothing was over the top. It wasn't disrespectful or anything like that. It was nicely rendered and restrained, and it fit beautifully. So it was an interpretation. We have some more versions of the anthem that some folks may find a little jarring, but hey, it's all about Bahamians, as diverse as we are, being able to have this one song performed in different ways.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Coming up in the news, a Florida-based company purchasing the Running Mon Marina on Grand Bahama. Tonight, executives are sharing their plans for the property. Officials from the container port welcoming new equipment that is expected to improve productivity. And as we continue to remember those who lost their lives during Hurricane Dorian, another survivor details her close encounter with death. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. I'm Ramiko Knowles. The Running Mon Marina is now sold. Florida company Exquisite Yachts purchased the property and is committed to conducting renovations and implementing extended services during a joint press conference today with the Ministry for Grand Bahama and the Grand Bahama Port Authority. The investment company gave an update on their plans for the property. We will have that story for you in just a few moments. Meanwhile, the Freeport Container Port Adding to its fleet of equipment, officials welcoming 5 new eco-friendly hybrid straddle carriers and 3 ship-to-shore Key Crane 80-ton capacity spreaders. The equipment arriving on a heavy lift vessel, Zen, who was 16. Also on the vessel were Key Cranes to be delivered to other ports in the Hutchison Ports network in Mexico. In a press statement, officials say the stellar team of marine pilots at Freeport Harbor Company coordinated a seamless delivery of the cargo, which is expected to significantly improve the productivity and reliability of the Freeport Container Port operations. The new hybrid straddle carriers have a rated load under the spreader of 40 tons, single lift, and 50 tons, twin lift. The new equipment is said to be maintenance friendly and should enhance the engineering team's mean time to repair. The new straddles are also equipped with an automatic fire suppression system with the ability to automatically extinguish electrical and combustible fires. The Freeport Container Port says the straddle carriers are more eco-friendly and will play a major role in reducing the carbon footprint, will produce lower emission discharge, and require significantly less diesel than their traditional counterparts. Well, today, September 2nd, marks the 3rd anniversary of the landfall of Hurricane Dorian on Grand Bahama. After battering Abaco for hours, the catastrophic storm made its assault on Grand Bahama, claiming many lives, flooding and flattening homes, leaving scores displaced and destroying the island's business center. Tonight, we will hear from a Dorian survivor who came face to face with the deadly storm and lost everything, including her 24-year-old daughter. Simone Davis has this story.
A survivor, but also a victim, Indra Ford recalls what she remembers from that horrific day that Hurricane Dorian made landfall on Grand Bahama on September 2nd, 2019.
The weather deteriorated. My daughter and I, Shadonica, we were here at the house, and the water came quickly, so we had to run to safety.
As the storm passed and the all clear was given to residents, Indra says her world immediately came crashing down when she realized that her family was safe, except for her youngest daughter, Giovanna J.
After we came down from the apartment, that's when we faced our worst fears, which was that my daughter was missing.
After this revelation, Indra says she waited on an official word from authorities on the whereabouts of her daughter, but got nothing, so their family began to search for her themselves. The area was guarded by police officers stopping motorists from crossing the bridge for safety. Indra says she had to inform officers that she was desperately searching for her daughter and begged to get past.
They allowed us across, but we weren't able to access our apartment because the water was still about waist deep. So I was only able to go so far.
And when she got to her daughter's apartment, she made a gruesome discovery.
When we got there, it was as if a bomb exploded.
Then reality kicked in.
That's when I realized it was over. Had to be over. There was a blank emptiness through the corners. I stood there. You don't know where. I didn't know where to start to even say, look for her. And I remember my uncle just standing there, and he started to call out for her, you know. And someone said to him, don't call, because she's not there.
She says now all she wants is closure for her 4-year-old grandson, who is still grappling with the reality that his mother is gone.
Even though she would have been dead, that they would have been able to give me back at least some remains for Jai.
Shadonica is Giovanna J's older sister. She describes her little sister as a joyous and happy person and says now that her only sibling is gone, her life will never be the same.
It's lonely. It's lonely now. When I could have picked up the phone and call her and talk to her about anything, now some days I still find myself actually picking up the phone to say, call. 3 years later, I still find myself doing that. That's where I'll call my auntie or call my mommy to replace that, but it would never be the same.
Now, 3 years later, Indra says she's still holding out hope that one day she'll get some information about her daughter.
You just can't explain the feeling. And even today,
there's still a suspense. Like, you know, am I gonna, at some point hear something with regards to if we can get a body, if one of the bodies in the morgue is her?
While some Dorian survivors are rebuilding their lives and finding closure, Indra says she only wants one thing.
It hurts. It still hurts. I'm still empty. I'm still in pain, because if I could say, I can go to a grave and say, this is where my daughter is, makes it 1,000% better. I can.
While the Ford family is still coping with the loss of Giovanna J., they say they are focused now on raising her son, Jai. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Simone Davis.
While the U.S. Embassy also remembering the many lives lost and all who were adversely impacted by destructive storm Hurricane Dorian that devastated the islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama 3 years ago. Alumni coordinator Lisa Moxie through a news release pays tribute to LaTrey Williams, who perished during the storm. Williams was an alumna of the U.S. Department of State's Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative, a professional exchange for regional entrepreneurs. She represented the Bahamas as a member of the YLAI cohort. She was considered an inspiration to many, in particular of the young Bahamian female entrepreneurs, as she was the owner of a popular restaurant here on Grand Bahama called Wingding. How the heroic efforts of one man possibly spared the lives of many on Grand Bahama. Philip recalls the Category 5 storm that hovered over the island. He says it was a harrowing experience that has caused him much mental trauma. And years later, he is still in need of support. Raven Davis reports.
I've been shot at, I've been robbed, I've been beaten just to make a living. And with that Hurricane Dorian, nothing could have prepared me mentally for what I've experienced in that particular storm.
Recounting the event, Roll says he and his then-girlfriend set out to locate missing family members, but the Hudson Estate area where he lived was virtually impassable.
We couldn't get into Hudson, so as I drove to Hudson, I noticed a boat was tied in somebody's yard. I actually took their boat out of their yard, tied it behind my Jeep, and I pulled it until the water made it float.
It was at that time he noticed that neighboring residents needed to be brought to safety. Adrenaline rushing, he sprung into action.
At one particular point, I was coming across trying to get a group of people to safety, and we was behind the Jehovah's Witness Church, and that boat overturned, and I myself thought that was the end. Sometimes when you see a need, you move.
Roll says the passengers lost personal effects, but thankfully he was eventually able to turn the boat over.
I mean, the water was so rough inland, it was like we was out at sea, and everyone was able to get back in the boat. And I just say to myself, I was like, Lord, I just thank you, because I myself started to ingest this brown water.
A truly selfless and courageous act. He is considered a hero after making 3 gruesome trips with that very boat. But while the debris has cleared, Roll, who operates a popular grill on East Sunrise Highway, notes that the mental anguish lingers.
And my business was one of the easiest to get back up and running. But because this storm had done something to me mentally, I had to leave this island. My personal health has been a work in progress. You know, many times I go on the beach and I sit down, and that's why, you know, we're out here today. You know, because sometimes I just have to just go sit on the beach and just let my mind just reset.
The catastrophic event will forever be etched in Roll's mind, but he says it brought him closer to God.
I find myself in church a lot. I find myself helping out more than I did, because to me now, whereas before the storm, money was so important and I was so grabalicious about it, now, like, I live such a meager life.
And 3 years later, while he hasn't been able to fully recoup personal items, he's just calling for more support groups to assist others still grappling with the mental trauma caused by Hurricane Dorian. For the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition, I'm Raven Davis.
Thanks, Raven. Well, Hurricane Dorian left many residents of Abaco and the East Grand Bahama in ruin. Tonight, we take a look at the story of Ishmael Lang, a resident of High Rock who tells a story about survival. The former engineer and his wife spent hours battling rising waters in their home while dealing with their respective physical limitations. Shane Stubbs has more.
That dreadful day. That is how High Rock resident Ishmael Lang describes his experience with Hurricane Dorian. He recalled speaking with his neighbor Roswell Pinder before making their way inside their separate homes, not knowing what would come next.
We were here right in the same area where you interviewed me, and he said, boy Lang, I'm with you this time. Say the last time my wife, she went back to Pinder's Point, say, but they decided to stay with me, and the kids say they're gonna stay with me this time. So my word was to him, I say, well, boy, you don't have nothing to worry about. I say, because I don't live here. I say, and if you get in any trouble, just a foot across the road, come on over. Right then, that was the last time, not knowing that I wasn't going to see him anymore.
As Hurricane Dorian made landfall, Lang says it was around 1:45 a.m. when he noticed water had begun entering his home. That is when he moved to look out of his impact windows, when he would get the shock of his life.
When I looked through the window, I saw billows rolling across the road, at least about 20 feet high billow. That is water coming across the road from the north side as a gush. So I ran back to tell my wife in the bedroom. I say, honey, water, water, water. But when I got to the bedroom door, the ocean already came in my house through the front door, bust open the garage door, and trees and whatever could have come in through the garage door was coming down through the central part of my house.
While both he and his wife were challenged by their own disabilities, Lang recalls doing everything they can to survive, including using their bed as a flotation device. Finally, after relentless prayer, Lang and his wife were given relief.
I said again, I said, God, you got to do something for us. And no lie, within 40 minutes, about 40 minutes, couldn't be longer than that, the water was gone out of my house.
After surviving the harrowing ordeal, the former engineer is grateful for following the advice of his father, which was to build his house soundly to withstand disaster.
He said, boy, build this as strong as you can. Say, I don't want you to believe hurricane cannot break this down. So I built my house with no rock sheet, this solid carrot rock block with Belco straight through my house. There's no rock sheet or Durock in my house. So I was lucky and I built it myself.
But now Lang says he is currently in the process of writing his own book to share his story and hopefully encourage other survivors. For the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition, I'm Shane Stubbs.
So many remarkable stories. Now back to our top story. The Running Mon Marina is now sold. Florida company Exquisite Yachts purchased the property and is committed to conducting renovations and implementing extended services. The investment company gave an update on their plans for the property. Our Simone Davis was there.
Exquisite Yachts is an American company based in Florida with a plan to build on the legacy Running Mon Marina and renovate the area into an upscale resort and catamaran center. Chief Investment Officer at the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Derek Newbold, says now that the resort has been sold and investors are committed to the renovations, he expects a spin-off impact for the island and economy.
Today represents a transformational day for Running Mon Marina and Resort. With the acquisition of this property by Exquisite Yachts Bahamas Limited and the planned upgrades, they will help to re-establish Running Mon as one of the premier marinas in the northern Bahamas. When we think of some of the upgrades that are going to be happening, and I'm sure David's going to touch on this, they plan to upgrade the resort property, the marina, and also introduce a service center for the multi-million-dollar yachts that they actually manufacture.
Exquisite's Chief Executive Officer, Tomas Hammer, says after years in the business, their team realized that there was a desperate need for a proper base facility for its North American operations to provide a full operational service center and charter for Exquisite yachts.
And that's when our search began to find the right place for it. Now, why Grand Bahama Island, why the Bahamas in general? It's over the years of 90 countries sailing around the world. We spent so many months in the Bahamas. Year after year, we came back. Also, strategically, obviously, is the closeness to Florida. 90% of our boats are sold in the U.S. market. So we have most of our boats, the majority, around the area. And this is the perfect spot.
Now, the renovation process to parts of the property is expected to begin in about 2 to 3 months, with a projected completion date of 2 to 3 years. And investors are expecting that the entire project could cost about $3.5 million.
Once this project is finished, we anticipate there'll be 30 to 40 full-time employment jobs here. We'll have a service center here to repair boats. We'll have an upgraded hotel, which will be a suite hotel. We will ultimately reopen the Running Mon restaurant here, which I believe has quite a history in Freeport. We ultimately would like to be doing some sailing charters out of here. We'd like to be doing some sail training of customers. We'd like to perhaps expand that to a larger number of people.
Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, sharing her views on the investment and plans for the Running Mon Marina property.
We welcome this investment. We welcome the faith that you placed in this resort here. You know, we've been through a lot on the island, and I think the potential is so enormous. In our Blueprint for Change, Grand Bahama is envisioned to become, and it is, the home of maritime and logistics, the home of events and entertainment, and the home of innovation. What you plan to do here is innovative.
GBPA President Ian Roll also expressing gratitude to the Exquisite team for choosing Grand Bahama as a hub.
I'd like to also say how very thankful we are for the Exquisite group to consider Grand Bahama. And we now call each other family. And we stand together as we make your product a very, hopefully, profitable venture here in Grand Bahama. We want you to succeed. And I know the minister agrees totally with that we stand hand in hand to ensure that your project is a success on this island.
For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Simone Davis.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news when we come back.
Come on down.
Have the following supplies on hand at the start of the hurricane season. A minimum 3-day supply of water, which provides 1 gallon of water per person per day. Minimum 3-day supply of non-perishable food items. Flashlights and extra batteries. A battery-powered radio to receive broadcasts that will keep you informed of the storm. A first aid kit. A 7-day supply of any prescribed medication. Don't be caught off guard this hurricane season. Be prepared. Esquire Men's Freeport has extended its summer sidewalk savings into September. Everything $30 and under. Every Saturday during September. Call them at 352-8816.
The government of the Bahamas and the artists of Grand Bahama presents the National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Concert Series. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m. Performing will be the Robert Sister, the legendary Cooling Water, Gather Time Swinging, the Bahamas Leading Choir, IMC, Carnegie, and Olsen Trodet. Don't you miss this life-changing historical event. Admission is free. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m. Boom, bop.
Ice the coconut got this. Cocoa skin driven madness. Juiciness, ice the black. This sweet like sugar in a dripping like ice hot.
The King of the North is back. Power 104.5 FM.
Your #1 news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. The National Hurricane Dorian Concert Series continues tonight here in Grand Bahama, set to take place at the New Life Worship Center. Tonight's concert will feature some of the best and brightest in gospel artists. Organizers Derek Stubbs, Pastor Simeon Alton, and Cecil Thompson, encouraging everyone to show up.
What we're saying to people is come and give of yourself, because whether you believe it or not, we've gone through the storm. But after the storm, we went through Dorian. We're still here. And every opportunity we have, we must use that to show the Lord how grateful we are.
For me personally, I want to remind them life is about seasons, and seasons change. We just need the courage to be able to get through.
This gospel concert takes it to the next level. This one will be exclusively gospel music with some of the best gospel artists that this island would have produced.
Sharing what they expect during tonight's concert.
Grand Bahama know how to worship, so I am not expecting them to come and watch a performance, but I'm also expecting to see grateful people who are grateful for life, people who are grateful for the things that they've been through to come out on top like this.
Someone who was here had to run for my life, as well as so many other people who are going to be here tonight. I think it's imperative that we remember not all of the victims' voices were hushed in death, but there are some victims who are alive and their voices are hushed through fear. You know, there's still people dealing with the PTSD of it all. And so I think it's imperative for everyone to come out to support so that we can remember those who have passed on, but as well as remember that we still have something to give God thanks and praise for.
Also in concert will be the Cooling Waters, the IMC Mass Choir, and Kelda Timeless Sweeting. On Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m., a memorial service will be held at Jubilee Cathedral in commemoration of the 3rd anniversary of Hurricane Dorian. Your Friday evening sports check is up next with Jay Philippe.
Good evening, I'm Jay Philippe, and welcome to Sports on a Friday. Athletes and coaches from Grand Bahama continuing to shine in their various sporting disciplines. We have some updates with swimming, but let's begin with tennis.
Coach Sidney Pratt, along with 9 junior tennis players, recently competed at the back-to-school Jubilee Tennis Clinic and Camp in Abaco. According to Coach Pratt, most of the young players are new to the sport.
We had a nice competition. We had some players were beginners, and some were intermediate, and some were advanced. And we saw what we had by doing a little clinic, and we put them in all those groups. And it went real well. And we have some winners, like Grand Bahama, we took over. We won like 2 divisions out of 3, and we were second in one of them. So my kids did well. I'm real proud of them.
O'Neal Hanna and Daniel Sanders were among the top performers at the tournament.
The point, I had 0 points and they had 2 games. I pretty much snaked out of them and win the games.
I felt I did good. I won about 3 matches, and I'd love to go again. I had some big competition, but it was good.
Young Miracle Poitier also traveled with Team Grand Bahama, and she did not disappoint.
I felt good, and I kind of a little bit of nervous, and I just won of the camps.
Coach Pratt says the athletes will continue to train Monday through Fridays, 5 days a week, in preparation for upcoming competitions. Switching gears now in swimming. Grand Bahamian swim sensation Marvin Johnson Jr. competed at the 8th FINA International Swimming Federation World Junior Championships in Lima, Peru. Johnson finished 6th in the semi-final heat and 13th overall in the boys 50-meter free. Johnson finished in a time of 23.39 seconds after swimming 23.38 seconds in the heats.
Now in hoops news, Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun return to action this Sunday for Game 3 of the WNBA semifinals in Connecticut. That series is tied at 1 game apiece. Tip-off is at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. And finally in sports, some good news for Mike Strong. The second-year wide receiver overcame some early off-season injury and a late start to training camp to make the Indianapolis Colts opening day roster. The Colts will open the 2022 regular season on the road against the Houston Texans on September 11th. And that's a quick check on sports. I'm Jay Philippe. Have a great weekend.
The government of the Bahamas and the artists of Grand Bahama presents the National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Concert Series. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m. Performing will be the Rubber Sister, the legendary Cooling Water, Gather Time Suited, the Bahamas Leading Choir, IMC, Karate, and Olsen Trodet. Oh man, you missed this life-changing historical event. Admission is free. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m.
School is in. Here are a few safety tips brought to you by the Grand Bahama Power Company. Parents, leave home early so there's no need to speed. Buckle your seatbelt and set a good example. Remember, we're watching you. Ensure that your kids are in the appropriate car seat. COVID-19 is still here. Make sure that your kids have all their school supplies along with their mask. Parents, no speeding. Ensure that you follow the speed limit in and out of the school zones. Use good judgment when stopping or parking. Drop your kids off only in the designated areas. Always respect the pedestrian crossing and the crossing guards. And never back up in the school zone. And when all else fails, and if all else fails, and when all else fails, slow down.
What? Check old girl, boy. You say she getting married? Oh, man, not again.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join this man's BTC home internet with this woman BTC mobile service in holy matrimony. So they'll pay half the price compared to the other guys.
What's wrong with you? Just let them.
Madam, do you have BTC mobile service?
I do.
Sir, do you have BTC home internet to unite with her mobile service?
I do.
Get all the internet you want at half the price when you bundle your home internet and mobile service.
So, what services do you have?
Me? I have BTC at home and on my phone.
Visit any BTC store to make the switch today.
Bad lady, you should be driving me crazy. When she looking at lips and moving them hips like Connie, baby. I wanna take her down now.
The King of the North is back. Power 104.5 FM.
Your number one news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Janice Moss, you are our Facebook friend of the day. We appreciate your support. We also want to say a special hello over to Esther Hannah Culmer over in the nation's capital. I was told today how much you love watching our newscasts, so we also appreciate your support as well. We also want to say a special happy 18th birthday greetings going out to Gadesh Wallace over in Atlanta. That's Manny's daughter. Enjoy your special day, and a happy anniversary to our loyal viewers, Tyrone and Donna Nixon in Nassau. They are celebrating 45 years of marriage. Congratulations, guys. And that concludes the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. On behalf of the entire news team here in the North, I'm Ramiko Knowles. Enjoy your weekend. Be sure to stay tuned. The Bahamas Tonight continues.
Coming up in the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, the Bahamas sweeps Global Travel Awards. A strong appeal to turn in illegal weapons. The road to ending HIV. And in sports, Devon finishes 6th in Brussels. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now.
This portion of the news is brought to you by BTC Super Fast Internet for Less. Best rate, no debate. Sign up today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lapinder. Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Thanks so much for joining us. Down but not out. 3 years after Hurricane Dorian, the struggle to rebuild two devastated economies continues. But the minister responsible for investments assures that things are beginning to look up. Cleopatra Murphy reports.
There are at least 3 significant resorts on the drawing board that we anticipate will be announced soon.
3 years after Category 5 monster storm Hurricane Dorian swept Abaco and Grand Bahama, causing wide-scale devastation and left a still unconfirmed number of people dead, Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, the Honorable Chester Cooper, says Abaco is seeing an economic recovery with keen interest in its keys.
We are excited about the possibilities that we're seeing as it relates to the rebound in Bakers Bay, Hopetown in particular. We see significant possibilities in southern Abaco.
Government officials were on the ground in Abaco Thursday, marking a somber 3rd anniversary of Dorian's touchdown. While in the community where residents are still trying to recover, Cooper says they also visited the 53-acre, 40-room Montage Key Resort that, along with other projects, will bring employment for residents.
As the rebound continue with the reestablishment of the infrastructure, the airport, and the rebuilding of those infrastructure, we are seeing overwhelming demand for new investments in Abaco.
Over on Grand Bahama, where residents are also still trying to pick up the pieces, the Deputy Prime Minister sees the pending sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort as a step in the right direction as officials move to increase room capacity and improve airlift.
We're using Bahamas Air strategically, as I mentioned before, to get airlift, this time from Raleigh direct to Freeport. We have engaged our airline partners, American Airlines, for additional flights from Charlotte to Freeport. We have Sunwing from Canada, Toronto, and Montreal arriving in November.
While there are plans to make Freeport an events and entertainment center, Cooper says there are great opportunities in boating, diving, and private aviation. Plans are also already in the works to take an air show to that island.
This will bring significant traffic and visitors, stopovers to the island, and we will have an opportunity to showcase Grand Bahama.
Although the ministry is marketing the country's 16 island destinations, Cooper acknowledges the need to rebuild both economies as a priority. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
Meantime, a Dorian survivor recalls her experience coming face to face with the deadly storm and losing everything, including her 24-year-old daughter. Tonight, she talks life after Dorian and the challenges of raising her daughter's infant son following her death. Simone Davis has the story.
A survivor, but also a victim, Indra Ford recalls what she remembers from that horrific day that Hurricane Dorian made landfall on Grand Bahama on September 2nd, 2019.
The weather deteriorated, and my daughter and I, Shadonica, we were here at the house, and the water came quickly, so we had to run to safety.
As the storm passed and the all clear was given to residents, Indra says her world immediately came crashing down when she realized that her family was safe, except for her youngest daughter, Giovanna J.
After we came down from the apartment, that's when we faced our worst fears, which was that my daughter was missing.
After this revelation, Indra says she waited on an official word from authorities on the whereabouts of her daughter, but got nothing, so their family began to search for her themselves. The area was guarded by police officers stopping motorists from crossing the bridge for safety. Indra says she had to inform officers that she was desperately searching for her daughter and begged to get past.
They allowed us across, but we weren't able to access her apartment because the water was still about waist deep. So I was only able to go so far.
And when she got to her daughter's apartment, she made a gruesome discovery.
When we got there, it was as if a bomb exploded.
Then reality kicked in.
That's when I realized it was over. Had to be over. There was a blank emptiness through the corners. I stood there. You don't know where. I didn't know where to start to even say, look for her. And I remember my uncle just standing there, and he started to call out for her, you know. And someone said to him, don't call, because she's not there.
Shadonica is Giovanna J's older sister. She describes her little sister as a joyous and happy person and says now that her only sibling is gone, her life will never be the same.
It's lonely. It's lonely now. When I could have picked up the phone and called her and talked to her about anything, now it's some days I still find myself actually picking up the phone to say, call. 3 years later.
While some Dorian survivors are rebuilding their lives and finding closure, Indra says she only wants one thing.
It hurts. It still hurts. I'm still empty. I'm still in pain, because if I could say, I can go to a grave and say, this is where my daughter is, makes it 1,000% better. I can't.
While the Ford family is still coping with the loss of Giovanna J, they say they are focused now on raising her son, Jai. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Simone Davis.
Well, hundreds turning out to enjoy the best in gospel music at last night's Hurricane Dorian Memorial Concert, The Courage to Rebuild. Many supporters danced and gave God praise in Bahama's Grand Ballroom to music performed by Pastor Simeon Ouden, the Dorian Memorial Mass Choir, and the show's headliner, international gospel artist CeCe Winans. The concert's just one of several activities this week. The concert series continues tonight in Grand Bahama at the New Life Worship Center. Things wrap up Sunday in Abaco at the Friendship Tabernacle in Dundas Town. Restoring Abaco's environmental damage, also crucial, and pitching in to make that happen, the Rotary Clubs of St. Catharines South and Niagara Falls Sunrise in Ontario, Canada, which recently donated 145 of the 720 Otia breadfruit saplings supplied through Tree That Feed Foundation. The Illinois-based company has been working with the Bahamas government for some time as part of a 100,000 tree planting initiative. And this in the face of a reported loss of 24% of the forests in Abaco and 77% of those in Grand Bahama due to Hurricane Dorian. Now, those of you interested in donating, you can do so through the Bahamas Rotary Disaster Relief website, Hurricane Dorian Disaster Relief Rotary District 7020. While restoring Abaco and Grand Bahama's hurricane-battered environments also led environmentalists to research the health and how those islands' ecosystems function. Some collected mangrove seeds and galvanized communities into establishing backyard nurseries and borrowing tiny mangrove plants into areas hard hit by the Category 5 storm. However, conservationists lament that a recently enacted law, the Biological Resources and Traditional Knowledge Protection and Sustainable Use Act 2020, that seeks to prevent the country's natural resources from being exploited by foreign interest under the guise of research, ironically makes it more challenging for international organizations with local ties to execute environmental research and restoration. This has reportedly led to very little restoration work in the Bahamas from January 2021 to until very recently. According to Dr. Craig Dahlgren, Executive Director of the Perry Institute for Marine Science, a leading ocean research, conservation, and education nonprofit, it's going to take a decade or more for the mangroves to fully recover. And that's based on how fast the new ones start to grow and how long it takes for them to reach maturity. Well, as the country pauses to mark the 3rd anniversary of the terror of Hurricane Dorian, another critical moment in Bahamian history nears. The Bay Street fire that gutted the world-famous straw market. As Celestine Enyas, president of the Straw Vendors Advancement Association, recounts, 21 years ago, it was like the world came to a standstill.
The fire was a killer. It was like
the place was just sprayed. I've never seen fire walk like that. I could remember being in an area and they said the market is on fire. And as I run to look to see where the market was on fire and they was trying to out the fire, that fire spread like gas. And so I remember that I had some money in my bag, my children's passports, getting ready to travel. So I run towards my shop to try to retrieve my bag. But unfortunately, I had to run the other way, try to get out of the way before I was caught in the fire.
Now, Eunice says in the aftermath of that fire, Bay Street straw vendors spent about 12 years in their makeshift home, a tent. Today, they're still fighting.
Sometimes people take straw vendors for granted. Not sometimes, most of the time. They take us for granted. But like I always just tell people, the rain wet us and the sun dry us, and only death just move the straw vendors. We are like the tree that planted by the waters, we shall not be moved. We are self-employed, and we would like to be treated as self-employed.
Hi, this is Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean with a tropical weather update brought to you by BTC and CBS Bahamas. There's been some changes in the tropics over the last 24 hours. Danielle has now intensified to become the first hurricane for the season, but all the details coming up in just a moment. In the far eastern Atlantic, that wave number 1 continues to lose some of its sting. It now has a 0% chance of developing. The reason for that, the showers and thunderstorms associated with it has diminished significantly over the last 24 hours. Secondly, it is also moving into some unfavorable atmospheric conditions. Wave number 2, very little change in this system. This one still approaching the northern portion of the Lesser Antilles, and it has that 70% chance of developing over the next 5 days or so. The showers associated with that has not changed much, still very much disorganized, but there's a pocket of showers already beginning to affect the northern Lesser Antilles. And now we take you to Danielle at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Danielle was just over 800 miles to the west of the Azores. It's packing winds of 75 miles per hour. And some further intensification is likely over the next day or two. In terms of its movement, it is stationary at the moment and will meander there in the north-central Atlantic for a few days before turning towards the north and then eventually towards the northeast. This has been a tropical weather update brought to you by BTC and CBS Bahamas.
Health officials touting the end to HIV in the coming years. The details coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
Shooting turns fatal. We'll be back after the break.
This portion of the news was brought to you by Sun Oil Limited Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
We are a leading Bahamian bank, one of the largest publicly traded companies on BISX. Our measure of strength is our growth and performance, with over $1.7 billion in assets. We remain committed to serving the interests of our shareholders, staff, clients, and communities. The confidence to lead, the performance to remain. We are Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
Mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
Our future is here. And no matter the result, we must come together. Together, we will innovate. Together, we will lead the way. Our future belongs to us. Happy Election Day, my fellow Bahamians. Leading leading the Bahamas in home improvement since 1973.
The government of the Bahamas presents The Courage to Rebuild, a National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Week, Friday, August 26th through Saturday, September 4th. On Friday in Abaco, a weather symposium featuring local and international weather experts. On Tuesday, August 30th, a focus on Hurricane Dorian and mental health. On Wednesday, August 31st, official updates on government repairs and the airing of the documentary, The Courage to Rebuild. Thursday, September 1st, remembering the victims. You're encouraged to wear your Hurricane Dorian memorial pins for a small donation to go toward Hurricane Dorian reconstruction. Also on Thursday, a memorial service at the Friendship Tabernacle Church in Abaco and a wreath-laying ceremony along the SC Boodle Highway. Flags will fly at half-mast, a concert featuring international recording artist CeCe Winans. Friday, September 2nd, the Grand Bahama Memorial Concert at the New Life Worship Center, featuring Grand Bahama's leading gospel artists. Saturday, September 3rd, the Abaco Memorial Concert at the Friendship Tabernacle, featuring some of the country's leading gospel artists and those from Abaco. Sunday, September 4th, a wreath-laying ceremony in East Grand Bahama and a memorial service at Jubilee Cathedral. The National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Week, taking courage to rebuild.
To think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Health officials and those of the National HIV/AIDS program charging towards their goal of ending HIV in country by 2030. That announced today in addition to the most recent stats that reflect the highest number of people on antiretroviral medication in some time, with an even higher percentage of those living with the disease having achieved viral suppression. Jiminita Swain tells us more in this next report.
Where we are able to say that tremendous progress is being made and that the end of the AIDS epidemic is in sight.
An optimistic Health Minister, Dr. Michael Darville, and behind that confidence, the inroads made on the local fight against HIV/AIDS. The latest stats show that at the end of 2021, 4,447 people were living with HIV in the country. Director of the National HIV/AIDS Program, Dr. Nikia Forbes, says the HIV prevalence rate is now estimated at 1.3% of the population. This while the number of newly diagnosed cases decreased by 53% between 2010 and 2019. Dr. Forbes also reporting that AIDS deaths declined by 40% between 2010 and 2019.
We have achieved diagnosing 94% of persons who are living with HIV in the Bahamas by our estimates. Further to that, 73% of people living with HIV who know their status were on treatment, and that was a very high number, the highest numbers we've seen currently in our programming. And of those persons who are on treatment, 81% of persons have achieved viral suppression, and that has also increased.
And that's not the only good news.
The number of people living with HIV on treatment has nearly doubled from 2012 to the end of 2021. We had about 1,043 persons on treatment, HIV treatment in 2013. The treatment guidelines were a little different then, and we moved to treating all persons with HIV infection, regardless of their illness stage or whether they were having symptoms. We were one of the first Caribbean countries to do that in 2015. And so the number of persons on treatment in 2021 was about 3,047.
With such promising improvements, the Bahamas now joins its global counterparts in seeking to end AIDS by 2030.
For the year 2025 includes identifying 95% of people living with HIV, placing 95% of positively identified individuals on antiviral therapy, ensuring that 95% of those on therapy achieve undetectable viral loads indicative of treatment success.
And on another positive note, Dr. Forbes says there has been no new transmission of HIV from mother to child within the last 3 years. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Jimenita Swain.
In other news this evening, Her Majesty's coroner leading investigations into a late-night police-involved shooting here in the capital. Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrisling Skippings telling reporters that it was around 10 p.m. that the inner-city incident took place.
Officers attached to Operation Ceasefire, acting on intelligence that several men were armed with illegal handguns, proceeded to Miami Street, which is located between Cotto Avenue and Balfour Avenue. As the officers approached the property, one of the males produced a handgun and engaged officers and was subsequently shot. EMS personnel visited the scene and confirmed that there were no vital signs of life.
Now, on the deceased was a handgun and ammunition.
I would like to encourage young men who may be in possession of firearms. I would like to encourage them to turn those firearms, those weapons in. I would also like to send a strong message to them that if you decide that you're going to engage law enforcement personnel who are here to protect the citizenry of this Bahamas, who are here to prevent and detect crime, who are here to maintain law and order, we will be resolute in our duties, and we will execute our duties as mandated by law.
We turn our attention now to that deadly dog attack early Saturday morning that left a street beggar dead. Police today identifying the victim as 61-year-old Anthony Gary Swan of Ridgeland Park East. The tragedy prompting a call from Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, for pet owners to secure their animals in an enclosed yard. Further, while enforcement of the Animal Control Act requires people to register and secure their animal has been lacking, he acknowledges this must change.
One issue we find is that nationwide, we have very few dogs that's licensed that adhere to the legislation. The fine is $40 for not licensing your dog, but the fee to license is very small, around $2. So, I mean, it's just trying not to only regulate, but you got to ensure that we enforce the legislation as well.
Sweeting says all dogs over 3 months should be licensed, with the fees paid at the Treasury Department and the license collected at the Department of Agriculture.
I do understand the importance of not just dog license, but animal protection. So for the first time in probably 10 years or more, we do have an active animal protection board that is meeting regularly. They have also sent me recommendations within the past 2 weeks to look at how we could protect people, we could protect animals. We're actively looking at that and working along with them to see how we can help persons to be aware of the legislation and how they can license their dogs through the ministry, and to ensure that we protect not just the animals but also people in general.
The Ministry of Tourism set to take off on the first of several global missions in Florida next week in an effort to reestablish the country's market share and promote the country's 16th island as a tourist destination. Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, the Honorable Chester Cooper, will lead that delegation from September 7th through the 9th, accompanied by Acting Director General of Tourism, Latia Duncombe, along with a sales and marketing team. Other missions include New York at the end of September and Toronto, Canada, with other cities to be added later in the year. The Minister of Tourism says each city selected was strategically chosen.
For example, represents 28% of overall percent of overall visitors to the islands of the Bahamas in 2021 and 2022. Respectively, Florida also brings a significant 29% of visitors to our shores, and we are seeking to see how we can really bolster our footholds in these markets. Florida, given its proximity to the Bahamas, has contributed relatively significant numbers to our overall visitor arrivals. 500,000 stopover visitors in 2019. We are seeking to see how we can double this number.
And still talking tourism, the Bahamas scored big at the World Travel Awards ceremony held at Sandals, Montego Bay, Jamaica earlier this week. Topping the list, the Bahamas was named the Caribbean's leading luxury destination. Bahamas Air secured the Caribbean's leading airline. The Caribbean's leading casino resort and conference hotel went to the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort and Grand Hyatt Baha-Mar. A second award secured by Baha-Mar. Bahama Bay is the Caribbean's leading water park, and the Caribbean's leading private island resort goes to Kamalami Key in Andros. Congratulations to all the winners. Well, just a few more days to go before summer wraps up on the calendar, but that certainly doesn't mean the visa application process at the U.S. Embassy here in Nassau will be slowing down. Still, the embassy's Consular Section Chief Lance Posey offered this advice to those who may experience challenges obtaining approval.
We have waivers that we can offer at times for travelers that have made amends to the issues, and maybe the appropriate time has passed. So there are ways that this can be remedied. We just ask people to follow the rules, use the visas appropriately, come home when you're supposed to come home, and do those things, and then people don't have a problem. And as I said, most Bahamians, the large majority, have no problems traveling to the United States. It's a very enjoyable place to actually work because of that. Bahamians are good travelers, and it makes our lives a lot easier.
Well, it's Friday, and that means we have the results from this week's poll question. Should a person receive automatic citizenship at birth in the Bahamas? Of the 185 of you who voted on Facebook, 155, or 83.78%, said no. That left just 16.22% of you saying yes. On the ZNS Network website, yes pulled in 64%, the no's 36%. Crossing over to Twitter, and should someone receive automatic citizenship at birth in the Bahamas, secured a yes vote of 65.9%. The tweets for no, 34.1%. Again, thanks for participating. Your Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Stay with us.
The skies are clearer now. We will rebuild together now. You will be okay. And if nobody else can see all that you can be, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you.
My name is Nicholas Mayolas. Most people call me Nick. And I'm a proud farmer. And we started this project almost exactly 30 years ago. Met her in real estate school. Had nothing to do with farming. I got there early in the morning because I haven't taken an exam in God knows how many years, since 1974. And I wanted to get there early, get in the front row. And there was Daphne.
So I guess education's always brought us together. And we're still learning every day. We work together and learn, and Nature Teaches now is our teacher.
So Daphne had a skin discoloration. And I told her, I said, I produce a cream that can remove that. Give me 6 to 8 months and I'll have that removed. And she was telling me she spent all kind of money and whatever. She had her doubts. And she said, well, you're just trying to sell me something. I said, well, just give me 6 to 8 months, maybe 10 months, and I'll have that removed.
You know, I knew he was a good salesman, so I wasn't just going to take his word for it. After about 10 months of using the facial cream religiously, morning and night, my skin, it evened the skin tones because neem oil works at a cellular level at repairing the cells. It evened out my skin tones, and I was like, okay, this stuff really works. I need to know more about it, and wanted to get involved in helping him to promote Abaco neem throughout the country. I had just heard about it, and a lot of people hadn't.
The actual neem is a tree, family to the mahogany tree, like the lignum-vitae or the Madeira tree in our country. Our main focus is healthcare. Right? So we produce a capsule from the leaf of the tree. Right? We produce the oil that we told you about from the fruit of the tree. We produce a toothpaste from the bark of the tree.
We're now focusing a little bit less on just making product to that personal experience. We want people to experience what we are blessed to have every day.
And it's a great way to start the day.
You see the stress starting to sort of relax. You see the tension, you know, easing away.
This is a great environment. I really encourage more people to get into farming. Nature heals. I challenge any doctor to check my health.
Watch them grow and make plans for them even before they're old enough to talk. You spend a lifetime of sacrifice to pave the way for their success and create a tomorrow you too can be proud of. Can you tell who is the investor? At Leno, we believe everyone who has ever put a penny aside for a future dream is an investor. If you're new to investing, Leno's financial experts stand ready to design plans based on your goals. Let's sit down and explore the options one-on-one and see how, together, we can make your dreams come true. Whether considering traditional investments like a new home, car, your own business, security in retirement, or your child's college fund, we take the confusion out of the process and make an investor out of you. Call 396-3225 for an appointment. Leno, your bridge to the future.
Join up for life insurance. Secure the ones that you love. Join up with Family Guardian. We offer full protection. Join the family. Join the family. Family Guardian. Protect the ones you love. A friend that you can trust. Family Guardian.
Hello, summer. Escape into summer when you fuel up with Shell. Every time you purchase $20 gas, you're entered to win your share of over $50,000 in cash prizes and fantastic trips, including a staycation at Grand Island Exuma, a shopping spree in Miami, and a 4-day trip to Las Vegas to see John Legend live. To enter, fuel up at Shell with $20. Go to winwithshellbahamas.com and let the fun begin. Say hello, summer with Shell today. Conditions apply. Hello, summer.
Progress being made on efforts to regularize public service employees after many have been working for decades without being made permanent and pensionable. Minister of State for the Public Service, the Honorable Pia Glover-Roll, says there has been significant movement on the project, with thousands of employees receiving confirmations, promotions, and reclassifications.
There are 21,686
public servants, and of course that's growing. But we ensure that we're looking at this from a perspective of not only a focused approach, but ministry by ministry. So persons that may have fallen through the cracks, the proverbial cracks over the years, hopefully that we will be able to engage all of their files and be able to rectify any matters that are long outstanding for them. That process, in our estimation, is going extremely well.
Well, days after a successful job fair at the Sandals Royal Bahamian Resort, Cable Beach, Department of Labor officials aren't wasting time getting more job seekers employed. A job fair for the construction sector takes place Saturday, September 10th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Department of Labor's Rosetta Street office. Labor Director Robert Ferguson has added details.
We have a company what has said to us they have two major projects that they want to begin very, very soon. They asked us to identify between 100 and 120 men and women in various aspects: plumbing, construction, masonry, air conditioning, carpentry. In addition to that, we also have a company that is in the telecommunication sector. And they have said to us that they need us to identify about 30 persons to serve as training technicians. And so we're going to be inviting those persons to come to that job fair as well and see if we can kill two birds with one stone.
The impact of COVID-19 globally cannot be overstated. Millions have died, economic growth has stifled, and there's a learning loss of so many students. Here at home, officials have devised a plan they believe can reverse the damaging effects of COVID on student education. Lloyd Allen has more.
Well, it's fair to say education has shifted significantly, especially since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. And as many teachers across the country prepare for a new school semester, they're hoping that lessons learned will shift the learning environment in more ways than one.
We want to engage them, encourage them to create their own business, their own masterminds.
Business instructor Natasha Uriz says Transform summer workshops are assisting teachers to foster cross-curriculum tools toward entrepreneurship and coding.
Each entrepreneur takes a risk. So we were trained in terms of knowing that this branch of business is out there and they're able to come in and train at any possible time. And before this session started, we had no idea. So I had no idea. So this was something new for me.
She says following more than 2 years of virtual integration, students are expected to come back embracing learning with renewed vigor, especially through apps like Quizzes.
Quizzes was one of the best ones, I think, hands down, that the kids enjoyed because they love. Quizzes has some points where they can steal points. I don't want to say steal points, but you can power up or engage in the next person winning. So, and if you got a question wrong, you were able to attempt that question again.
For incoming 10th graders Janaya Pierre and Nahaja Aubrey, similar concerns existed with the virtual platform despite both of them excelling in recent national examinations.
Personally, for me, virtual wasn't easy because I couldn't focus and I got distracted really easily.
For me, virtual was also a bit more difficult than face-to-face because in virtual, there's more room for distraction.
At the administrative level, hope remains high for teachers to use skills from past experiences as well as recent workshops to improve their execution of lessons for all students.
I'm hoping that the exposure that they would have gotten with the workshops would have helped in building the delivery based on their past experiences as teachers doing the face-to-face, the integration of the technology, so that at the end of the day, our students will benefit.
But even for those whose learning is not ignited through traditional or technology integration, there are options. Deputy Director of Education Sharon Poitier explains.
There are reforms related to technical and vocational education. Coding is one of them. Entrepreneurship is another.
So as the landscape of learning continues to evolve on the local front, educators remain flexible in providing students with the tools needed to excel regardless of their skills. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lloyd Allen.
Well, as we head to the break, we'd like to thank all our viewers watching us live on our social media platforms. And just in case you missed the news, be sure to head there to catch up. Stay with us. There's more after the break.
Welcome to the Global Learning Exchange. We're partnering with BIBT to bring opportunities for higher education to the Bahamas. Earn your degree from a university in the U.S. right here at home. Visit us online to learn more.
It is never easy to witness nature's wrath. One single named path of destruction over the course of a few hours, sometimes minutes, sometimes seconds, can change your life forever. There's nothing you can do to prevent a hurricane from being destructive by nature, but there is something you can do to protect your assets and ensure safety for not only yourself, but also the ones you love. When disaster strikes, be prepared. J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers, giving you peace of mind.
Works Minister the Honorable Alfred Sayers and his team getting a better understanding of Disney's Lighthouse Point project in Bannerman Town, South Eleuthera. Disney Cruise Line executives leading the Works team on a tour, followed up by a presentation on the project specifics during a luncheon. The minister is optimistic about the impact of this family island venture.
But more significantly, Bahamian contractors who are providing services to the project, Bahamians who are providing housing to the agents and employees of Disney, and also the entire ecosystem, the restaurants, as well as various service providers.
Disney Cruise Line plans to invest between $250 and $400 million in the project and has committed to generate at least 120 construction jobs with an overall ratio of 80% Bahamians, develop training and professional programs for Bahamians, as well as donate more than 190 acres of privately owned land to the government and the people of the Bahamas.
This project has the potential to become a template, not only for the Bahamas and other islands, but for the world, in terms of a partnership between government and a developer who comes in with an entertainment complex, a cruise port, to build on these issues of resilience, of sustainability, and local partnership and integration.
Well, it's time now for a check on Family Island weather with Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean. Good evening, Basil.
Good evening, Makisha. We have a few clouds again this evening, floating around. Temperature at 88 degrees, relative humidity 59%. Easterly winds at 13 miles per hour. The barometric pressure 1,016.0 millibars. That's 30.01 inches, and the pressure is steady. Temperatures around the Family Violets this evening. They are brought to you by Family Guardian Insurance Company. We're protecting you. 84 degrees in Freeport, Grand Bahama, and Grand Turtle, Key, Abaco, Marshall, Abaco at 86 degrees. The Berry Islands, 89. Allenstown, Bimini at 87. Harbor Island, 88 degrees. Roxanne, Eleuthera, 89. Black Point, Exuma, Kemps, Bay St. Andros, and Fresh Creek in Central Andros, all at 88 degrees. 89s in Otterstown, Cadalum, San Salvador, and Rum Key. Georgetown, Exuma, 88. 88s in Rygat Island, Clownstown, Long Island, and Crooked Island. Betsy Bay, Maguana, 85. Acklands, 85. Matchewtown, Inagua, 87. And the Turks and Caicos Islands at 84 degrees. And your boating forecast tonight is brought to you by Builders Mall, home of FYP, the Tile King, and the Paint Setter. For all areas tonight through Saturday, easterly winds 12 to 18 knots, wave heights 3 to 6 feet. So caution flags are in place for boaters throughout the 700 islands into Saturday. High tide tonight at 1:04. You can expect a low tide at 7:17 in the morning. And then on Sunday, for all areas, the winds fall off light and variable. We're going to have those flat seas returning 1 to 3 feet. Low tide takes place at 8:18 on Sunday with a high tide at 2:55 in the afternoon. That's going to do it for your boating forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures. And they are brought to you by Royal Star Assurance.
You had a good night, then you disappear on me. Where you going? But hey, y'all, where you been, y'all? I've been looking for you. But hey, y'all, where you been, y'all? I've been looking for you. I've been chilling out by the bar last night. This y'all, she was looking nice. She blew my mind.
That's going to do it for your international temperatures brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. But stay tuned. Extended weather forecast is still ahead.
Like a king.
Welcome to the Cable Bahamas Business Solutions Cybersecurity Tip of the Day for data backups. Regularly back up your business's data. Set your backups to happen automatically and store them somewhere secure. When considering data backups, consider the rule of 3-2-1. Have 3 local backups, 2 digital backups, and 1 offsite backup. Remember, stay safe, stay informed, and stay protected.
Hey, it's your honorary pump attendant here to educate you on the do's and don'ts at a service station. Here's what you don't do. Do not pull up from the pump without first checking that the nozzle has been removed from your car. Because if you pop this, that's about $600,000 to $30,000 to replace. These things ain't cheap. What you want to do is make sure that the nozzle has been removed, or just wait for the universal sign, which is the double tap.
When you wanna save money on your tile supplies, who you gonna call? The Tile King. When you tile your house and you wanna look good, who you gonna call? The Tile King.
Visit the new Tile King showroom, which is internationally recognized as the finest tile showroom in the Caribbean, located in the Builders Mall on Wolf Road.
The Tile King. Who you gonna call? The Tile King.
Tiles on everything.
As a CEO, it really delights me, quite frankly, to have such young, nimble, agile thinkers. Their innovation and creativity is really at the forefront when they show up for work and they're fully committed. Nothing, in my mind, beats the benefit of experience. The benefit of them on our team is tremendous. To really be thinking about fiber to the home is like the next frontier of technology. Rollout across the entire new province really brings a lot of excitement and energy to our teams. And I'm delighted to be thinking about the future of the Bahamas with fiber to the home everywhere.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
Welcome to sports, everybody. The FINA World Junior Swimming Championships continuing in Lima, Peru. Last night, Marvin Johnson contested the semifinals of the 50-meter freestyle. He finished his heat 6 in 23.39, which placed him 13th overall and out of contention for the final. Johnson was right back in the pool this morning for the prelims of the 50 butterfly. He was 7th in his heat in 26.06 and 35th overall. Also contesting the 50 fly was Nigel Forbes. He just missed out on a spot in the semifinals, touching the wall in 25.12 for 6th in his heat and 17th overall. A pair of Bahamians contesting the 200-meter breaststroke as well. Emmanuel Gadsden, 2 spots away from securing a lane in the semifinals. He finished 6th in his heat in 2 minutes, 27.50 seconds, and 18th overall. Errol Thompson III, meantime, was 7th in his heat in 2 minutes, 38.53, and 32nd overall. The final Bahamian in the pool this morning, Kiana Moss, in the 50-meter backstroke. She was 7th in her heat in 31.42 and 24th overall. Team Bahamas back on the pitch yesterday at the CONCACAF Men's Under-17 Championship qualifiers in Bradenton, Florida. Coming off a win in their opener on Tuesday, the 2-4-2 no match for Guyana, who picked up their first win of the tournament, winning 4-0. A Bahamas' own goal in the 4th minute gave the Golden Jaguars the early lead. Brian Wharton added a brace, scoring in the 9th and 30th minutes, while Christopher Witter got his name in the scorebook as well in the 18th minute. At 1-1, Team Bahamas plays again tomorrow against the British Virgin Islands, who are winless at 0-2. Devin Charlton competing earlier today at the Wanda Diamond League in Brussels. Running on the inside in lane 1, the Bahamian crossed the line 6 in 12.66 seconds. A big night for Lucius Fox of the minor league baseball diamond. He was a home run short of the cycle. The Bahamian had his 5th double and 2nd triple of the season to go along with 3 runs batted in and 2 runs scored as the Rochester Red Wings flew past Toledo in a shutout, 17-0. We're just over a week away from the start of the regular season in the NFL. After surviving the final cut earlier this week, Mike Strawn is officially on the 53-man roster for the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts open up on the road against the Houston Texans, and Strawn likes their 6 wide receiver rotation.
I love this group. I feel like we have a better group than what people think. This group, we have a lot of different guys who, can do a lot of different things. We have bigger receivers like, Pittman and Dez. We have shorter receivers, speedy receivers, Paris. We have a lot of different guys who could do different things.
After being able to perform in front of his family during his rookie campaign last season, Strawn is looking forward for that opportunity once again, this time around.
100%. They're ready to call me each day, telling me, okay, be ready to come. So I'm like, I was telling them, the first game is right around the corner, and these games is gonna keep rolling, so they'll be coming real soon.
After winning the men's physique Class C title of the Miami IFBB Grand Prix last weekend and securing his pro card, David Johnson knows the work has just begun as he looks for similar success on the next level. As for when he plans to compete again,
I'd say about a year or 2, because there's some things I want to work on that I want to ensure that when I go, I secure the W. Probably going to be right in Florida, right there. Go there and then expand from there. Because I know there's a lot of competition there, because Miami is flooded with persons who's interested and very invested in the sport. And so I would want to compete against the best. And then I actually intend to go to the world stage eventually.
The Major Payne Boxing Club will host the inaugural Fred Sir Boxing Championship on Saturday, September 24th at the National Boxing Stadium, and organizers say they couldn't find a better honoree.
Fred always shows his support, and Fred is an analyst, that been doing this reporting with The Guardian for quite some time, way before my time, and so we just want to recognize someone who contributed their time, with sports, with all activities that was going on here in the Bahamas.
The plan moving forward is to have these events every 3 months in order to get amateur boxing back to the level it once was.
Misha Major Payne, Akina Sanders, Jerry Butler, Jermaine Chuchumaki, and myself, Albert Allen, and Kishino Valentino Nones. At that time in boxing, actually, we won the Griffiths one time, I remember that, and we was doing pretty good. And the sport went down, and it's good how fellas like myself, Misha Major, Valentino Nodes, Toriano Johnson, Kishno Major trying to get the sport back up and going, and we seeing good turnout. We just want the Bahamian people to keep supporting it and make sure it'll be a success. Our plan actually is after we get about 12 champions, we're gonna do a U.S. versus Nassau. So that would be a big event.
Let's look at sports. Check on weather up next.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
If you've got the time, we've got the savings, super value, and quality supermarkets. Best value whole kernel corn, 15 ounce, $1.09. Rainbow corned beef, 12 ounce, $2.49. Chicken leg quarters, 10-pound bag, $1.19 per pound. Armour lunch makers, assorted, 2.6 ounce, $1.79. Sweet bananas, 99 cents per pound. Donate your change to help feed the Humane Society animals at super value and quality supermarkets.
The government of the Bahamas presents The Courage to Rebuild, a National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Week, Friday, August 26th through Saturday, September 4th. On Friday in Abaco, a weather symposium featuring local and international weather experts. On Tuesday, August 30th, a focus on Hurricane Dorian and mental health. On Wednesday, August 31st, official updates on government repairs and the airing of the documentary, The Courage to Rebuild. Thursday, September 1st, remembering the victims. You're encouraged to wear your Hurricane Dorian memorial pins for a small donation to go toward Hurricane Dorian reconstruction. Also on Thursday, a memorial service at the Friendship Tabernacle Church in Abaco and a wreath-laying ceremony along the SC Boodle Highway. Flags will fly at half-mast, a concert featuring international recording artist CeCe Winans. Friday, September 2nd, the Grand Bahama Memorial Concert at the New Life Worship Center, featuring Grand Bahama's leading gospel artists. Saturday, September 3rd, the Abaco Memorial Concert at the Friendship Tabernacle, featuring some of the country's leading gospel artists and those from Abaco. Sunday, September 4th, a wreath-laying ceremony in East Grand Bahama and a memorial service at Jubilee Cathedral. The National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Week, taking courage to rebuild.
Time now for weather.
In our final look at weather, taking a look at our satellite pictures, still have that little troughing across the northwest Bahamas, and that will continue to support pockets of isolated showers and thunderstorms as they trek from the east towards the west over the next day and a half. Tonight, though, we're going in for partly cloudy and warm conditions with a passing shower or two. Low temperature down to 79 degrees. And tomorrow, we're looking at some morning clouds and possibly one or two isolated thunderstorms. But in the afternoon, it will turn partly sunny. High temperature tomorrow getting up to 88 degrees. And your extended weather forecast over the next 7, we will see some improvement on Sunday, and that will carry over into the early part of next week when we'll see lots of sunshine return to our forecast. Kishla.
Well, thanks, Brazil. And before we end, we want to wish our technical producer, Ashley Taylor, a very happy birthday. We certainly do hope you enjoyed your day. Well, that does it for the Bahamas tonight. Thank you for continuing to make ZNS your first choice for news and information. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. From all of us here at ZNS, thank you for watching and good night.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
And good morning, America. We want to get right to Hurricane Dorian. Category 5 storm hitting the Bahamas, heading for the southeast. One of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes in recorded history.
And the storm leaving so much devastation in its path.
Wind gusts of 200 miles per hour.